Imagine for a moment you are standing on a vast open plain. Around you, the sky is a canvas of ever-changing moods. Sometimes it is clear and boundless, offering a panoramic view of distant horizons and a gentle breeze that whispers through the tall grasses. In these moments, your spirit feels light, unburdened, and utterly at peace. You breathe deeply, savoring the stillness, the quiet strength that resonates within you. This is the feeling of inner tranquility, a state we all yearn for, a sanctuary where the self is free from the clamor of the external world. Yet often, without warning, the skies darken. A tempest gathers on the horizon, swift and relentless. Clouds, heavy with unspoken anxieties, swirl into a maelstrom. The winds of fear begin to howl, tearing through your composure, whipping your thoughts into a frenzy. Hailstones of regret pelt your spirit, and the ground beneath you trembles with the distant rumble of anger or the sharp crackle of judgment, both from within and without. You find yourself caught in the deluge, drenched in sorrow, buffeted by criticism, and blinded by the lightning flashes of worry about the future or despair over the past. In these moments, the inner peace you once knew feels like a forgotten dream, a distant memory swallowed by the storm. This is the pervasive human experience of negative emotions, the relentless siege of the mind, the erosion of our calm, and the hijacking of our very presence. These emotions, whether they manifest as gnawing anxiety, simmering resentment, paralyzing fear, or searing grief, feel like an inescapable force, a prison constructed from the very fabric of our being. They dictate our reactions, cloud our judgment, and steal our most precious resource, our peace of mind. But what if I told you that this storm, however fierce, does not have to define your landscape? What if there was an ancient wisdom, a steadfast guide that could help you navigate these turbulent waters, not by commanding the winds, but by strengthening the vessel of your own spirit and showing you the hidden harbor within? This path, illuminated by the timeless philosophy of Stoicism, is not about suppressing your emotions or becoming an unfeeling automaton. Instead, it is a profound journey of understanding, discernment, and deliberate action, a journey that empowers you to observe the tempest without being swept away by it, to feel the rain without letting it drench your soul, and ultimately, to rediscover the serene, unshakable core of your being. It is about reclaiming your sovereignty, asserting your will over what is truly yours to command, and gently releasing your grip on all that is not. If you find yourself nodding, if you too have felt the burden of these emotional storms and yearn for a deeper, more lasting calm, I invite you to join us on this profound exploration. Take a moment to acknowledge this shared human journey. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing to our channel and leave a comment below with a simple mantra: I seek my inner peace. Your engagement helps us share this liberating wisdom with more souls seeking tranquility. The very first step on this path to freedom from negative emotions and the restoration of inner peace begins with a fundamental yet often overlooked truth: understanding what is truly within our control and what is not. Imagine clutching a handful of sand on a windy beach. The harder you clench your fist, the more sand slips through your fingers, carried away by the inevitable gusts. You cannot command the wind, nor can you compel every grain of sand to remain. Your struggle is born from the delusion that you can control these external forces. Similarly, in life, we spend an immense amount of energy, emotional and mental, attempting to control what lies beyond our sphere of influence. We fret over the opinions of others, the unpredictable whims of fate, the actions of our colleagues or family, the state of the world, or even the past events that have long since concluded. Each attempt to master these unmanageable elements is like wrestling with a ghost, exhausting, frustrating, and utterly futile. It is in this futile struggle that negative emotions are born and relentlessly fed. Anxiety blooms when we try to predict and manipulate the future. Anger flares when reality deviates from our expectations of how others should behave. Regret festers when we replay past decisions, wishing we could rewrite history. All these stem from a misunderstanding of where our true power lies. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our possessions, reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." This succinct observation, often referred to as the dichotomy of control, is the bedrock upon which all Stoic tranquility is built. It is the compass that guides us through the fog of emotional turmoil. Let's unpack this with contemporary examples. Think about your job. You can control your effort, your attitude, your integrity, and how you respond to challenges. These are your opinions, motivations, and desires. But you cannot control whether your boss approves of your work, whether your company succeeds, or if you receive a promotion. These are external outcomes influenced by countless factors beyond your personal control. When you tie your peace of mind to these external factors, "I will only be happy if I get that promotion," or "My self-worth depends on my boss's approval," you surrender your inner peace to the fickle winds of fortune. Your joy becomes conditional, your serenity fragile. The moment the promotion doesn't materialize or your boss offers a critique, the storm within rages because you've mistakenly placed your happiness in an untrustworthy vessel. Consider social media. You can control what you post, how you engage, and how much time you spend on it, but you cannot control the comments you receive, the number of likes, or how others perceive your online persona. If your sense of self-worth is dependent on external validation, the likes and shares, then every notification, or lack thereof, becomes a trigger for anxiety, comparison, and dissatisfaction. You are relinquishing your inner peace to the collective, anonymous judgment of the internet. The profound liberation that Stoicism offers begins when you truly absorb this distinction. It teaches us to turn our attention inwards, to meticulously discern what falls under our own doing, our judgments, our impulses, our core values, our character, and to redirect our efforts exclusively towards these. Everything else, the countless external events, people and circumstances, we must learn to greet with a tranquil acceptance. This is not passive resignation, but a wise recognition of reality. It's understanding that resistance to the uncontrollable is the true source of suffering, a Sisyphean task that drains our vitality and feeds our negative emotions. When you begin to internalize the dichotomy of control, you start to cultivate an inner citadel, as Marcus Aurelius called it, an impregnable fortress of the mind, a sanctuary that remains untouched by the chaos of the external world. This citadel is built not of stone, but of principles, clarity of judgment, integrity of action, and unwavering acceptance of what cannot be changed. It is within this citadel that your true freedom resides, for here you are the undisputed sovereign. Here, no external event, no harsh word, no stroke of ill fortune can truly disturb your fundamental calm, unless you grant it permission. Negative emotions, then, are not invaders that breach your walls, but rather internal alarms triggered by a faulty understanding of your own power. They signal that you are likely attempting to control the uncontrollable or reacting to an external event with an unexamined judgment. So, for this first step in our journey, let us begin with a simple yet powerful exercise. For the next few days, Become a diligent observer of your own reactions. When a negative emotion arises, be it irritation, worry, sadness, or frustration, pause. Do not immediately judge it or try to suppress it. Instead, ask yourself, is the source of this emotion something within my control? For example, if you feel anger because traffic is slow, reflect, can I control the traffic? No. Can I control my reaction to the traffic? Yes. If you feel anxious about a presentation at work, ask, can I control whether everyone in the audience likes my presentation? No. Can I control my preparation, my delivery, and my effort? Yes. This simple act of discerning, separating the wheat from the chaff, what is ours from what is not, is the very first key to unlocking your inner peace. It is the beginning of freeing yourself from the chains of negative emotions, not by fighting them, but by understanding their true origin and wisely redirecting your focus. Allow yourself to gently observe without judgment, and let the wisdom of the dichotomy of control begin to settle deep within you, guiding you towards the quiet strength that awaits. Imagine your inner world as a vast, ancient sea. Sometimes the surface is calm, reflecting the endless blue of a peaceful sky. Other times, a storm brews far beneath the horizon, unseen, unheard, until suddenly a colossal wave crashes against the shore of your consciousness. This isn't just a ripple, it's a surge, a powerful, overwhelming force that threatens to pull you under. Many of us react to this wave immediately, allowing its force to dictate our next move, to drag us out into its turbulent depths. But what if, instead of being swept away, we could learn to observe the wave, to understand its genesis, its composition, the very forces that propel it? This isn't about stopping the tide. It's about becoming a skilled mariner, capable of navigating its power, understanding its currents, and finding stable ground even amidst its fury. An emotion isn't just a feeling, it's a complex, multi-layered event within you, often triggered by an external event or an internal thought, but sustained and amplified by how you interpret and engage with it. It's like a seed that, once watered by your attention and belief, can grow into a formidable tree, casting long shadows or offering deep shade. We often feel the fruit of the emotion, the anger, the fear, the sadness, but rarely do we trace it back to the soil, to the roots, to the first drop of water that began its growth. To free yourself from its grip, you must first become a cartographer of your emotional landscape, mapping its peaks and valleys, its hidden springs and its roaring rivers. This second step in our journey towards inner peace isn't about suppression, but about profound understanding. It's about peeling back the layers, discerning the initial sensation from the judgment we layer upon it, separating the raw data of feeling from the story we immediately begin to tell ourselves about that feeling. When a wave of sadness washes over you, is it just the pure sensation of sorrow, or is it also the self-pity, the dwelling on past wrongs, the fear of future pain? The Stoics understood that much of our suffering comes not from external events, but from our opinions about those events. And so it is with our internal events, our emotions. We amplify them, we give them power by failing to see them for what they truly are: transient, often misguided interpretations. Consider a common scenario in the digital age. You post something on social media, perhaps a heartfelt thought or a creative endeavor. Soon, a notification pops up, revealing a comment that is dismissive, critical, or even outright hostile. Instantly, you feel a flush of heat, a tightening in your chest, a rapid pulse. This is the initial surge. For many, the next step is immediate. A sharp retort forms on their tongue, fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to engage in a verbal skirmish. Or perhaps a profound wave of self-doubt and shame washes over them, leading them to delete the post, or worse, to retreat into a shell of anxiety. This is where the anatomy lesson begins. When that comment hits, the initial physical sensations are merely data. They are your body's instinctive response, but then, almost instantaneously, your mind begins its work. They think I'm stupid. I should have never shared that. This person is attacking me. These are not the emotion itself. These are your judgments about the comment and about yourself in relation to it. These judgments are the fuel that turns a brief physiological flicker into a raging emotional fire. The original comment is a small spark. Your interpretation is the dry tinder that ignites it. If you can pause even for a moment after the initial physiological response, but before the judgment takes hold, you create a space. In that space you can ask, what exactly am I feeling? Is it anger, or is it wounded pride? Is it fear, or is it the fear of being judged? Is this comment truly an existential threat, or simply an unwelcome opinion from a stranger, perhaps even a reflection of their own internal struggles? This dissection allows you to see that much of the sting comes not from the words themselves, but from the story you construct around them, the meaning you assign to them, and how you allow them to define your worth. Think of a news headline that enrages you. The words themselves are just ink on a page or pixels on a screen. Your rage comes from the values you hold, the beliefs you have, and how you perceive that headline to violate them. The headline isn't angry, as you are, and by understanding this distinction, you begin to reclaim agency over your emotional life. Another instance, a colleague gives you feedback on a project that feels harsh. The initial reaction might be defensiveness, resentment, or a plummet in confidence. But if you dissect it, you might find that the feeling of being attacked is compounded by your insecurity about the project or your desire for constant approval. The raw feedback is one thing. Your internal dialogue, they think I'm incompetent, is another. The ability to separate these two is the cornerstone of emotional freedom. Epictetus, in his discourses, profoundly stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This powerful insight cuts to the very core of our emotional struggles. It's not the critical social media comment itself that causes your anguish, but your interpretation that this means I am worthless. It's not the challenging feedback at work that sparks your resentment, but your belief that they are disrespecting my efforts. The Stoics recognized that the external world, with its myriad events, is largely indifferent to our personal happiness. It simply is. Our distress arises when we attach a value judgment, a narrative, a view to these events. If a rock falls, it simply falls. If it falls on your foot, the pain is a physical sensation. But the anger you feel, the thought, why me, the judgment, this is unfair, these are additions that amplify suffering beyond the mere physical sensation. Epictetus's wisdom urges us to identify the boundary between the event and our reaction. The event is outside our control. Our reaction, our view, is entirely within our domain. This doesn't mean we deny the initial pang of discomfort or irritation, but rather that we refuse to let our interpretations escalate these into prolonged states of suffering. Seneca, too, touched upon this when he advised us to consider how little we suffer in reality compared to what we suffer in imagination. Much of our emotional burden is self-imposed, a construct of our minds. We build elaborate mental prisons around simple stimuli. This week, I invite you to become an amateur emotional anatomist. When you feel a surge of a negative emotion, anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety, pause. Don't immediately react. Don't immediately judge yourself for feeling it, and certainly don't immediately launch into a mental narrative about it. Instead, take a deep breath and create a tiny sliver of space between the initial sensation and your usual response. In that space, try to identify 3 distinct layers. 1. The trigger. What exactly happened? Be objective. Someone said something? An event occurred? A thought crossed your mind? Describe it without judgment. My colleague sent an email. I saw a news report. A memory surfaced. 2. The raw sensation. Where do you feel this emotion in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a flush of heat, a rapid pulse? Describe these physical sensations without labeling them as good or bad. My stomach feels tense. My jaw is clenched. There's a buzzing behind my eyes. 3. The interpretation, judgment. What story are you immediately telling yourself about this trigger and sensation? What meaning are you assigning? This means I'm not good enough. This is unfair. I'm going to fail. They deliberately tried to upset me. Practice this separation. Notice how often the raw sensation is relatively fleeting, but the interpretation is what perpetuates and magnifies the emotional distress. By consistently separating these layers, you begin to dismantle the automatic emotional responses that keep you captive. You observe the wave, understand its component parts, and learn that you don't have to let it pull you out to sea. You can stand firm, watching it pass, knowing that its power over you diminishes with each instance of conscious dissection. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. And in that observation, in that detached understanding, lies the first true step towards emotional mastery and the reclamation of your serene inner harbor. Reflect on this. How many times a day do you allow an external trigger, amplified by your internal judgment, to steal your peace? This exercise is your key to unlocking those chains. And so, we arrive at the heart of our inner landscape, a place often clouded by the very stories we tell ourselves. Imagine your mind as a vast canvas, and every event that unfolds before you as a single stroke of color. It is not the color itself that dictates your emotion, but the narrative brush you choose to apply, the judgment you overlay upon that raw impression. Too often, we seize a fleeting moment and paint it with the broad strokes of catastrophe, of insult, or of insurmountable burden, when in truth it is merely a shape, a hue, waiting for our interpretation. Think of an unexpected email from your boss, marked urgent. Your pulse quickens. You might immediately feel a knot of dread, imagining reprimands, impossible deadlines, or even the looming shadow of failure. But what is truly urgent about it before you even open it? It is simply a series of digital signals, a notification. Your mind, however, has already leaped ahead, constructing a dramatic narrative of potential threats. This is the moment to pause, to breathe, and to challenge the story. Is this truly an attack or merely information? Is it a judgment against you or a situation requiring your skill? As the wise Epictetus reminded us, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. The external world is neutral. It is our inner dialogue that assigns the emotional charge. When we free ourselves from the automatic, unexamined narratives, we reclaim our power. We learn to see things as they are, stripped of the emotional adornments we so readily apply. For this moment, I invite you to a quiet practice. Recall a recent instance where a negative emotion gripped you, perhaps anger at a slow driver, frustration with a technological glitch, or anxiety over a social interaction. Now, rewind that moment. Can you pinpoint the exact instant your mind began to interpret the event, to assign it a meaning that led to your discomfort? Try to separate the bare fact from your personal judgment of it. Observe your initial reaction without judgment. Was the driver truly malicious or simply distracted? Was the technology a personal enemy or just a machine following its code? By consciously unmasking these subjective perceptions, we begin to dissolve the very foundations of our suffering, step by careful step. Imagine a clear mountain lake, its surface mirroring the vast sky in perfect tranquility. Then a single stone is thrown, and the reflection shatters, rippling into countless distortions. Our mind often behaves like this lake. The stone isn't the event itself, but our immediate, often unexamined judgment of it. We frequently believe external circumstances are the sole source of our turmoil, yet Stoicism teaches us that true disturbance arises from within, from the story we tell ourselves about what has happened. The event is neutral. Our interpretation imbues it with negativity, fueling emotions like anger, fear, or sadness. Consider a common scenario. You receive an unexpected email from your boss late on a Friday. Your mind immediately leaps to worst-case scenarios. Am I in trouble? Did I miss something important? My weekend is ruined. This cascade of negative thoughts creates anxiety long before you even open the email, which might turn out to be a simple positive update or a non-urgent request. The email itself is just data. Your perception transforms it into a threat. Epictetus profoundly stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This timeless wisdom reminds us that our power lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering our inner response to it. It is our narrative, our judgment, that colors our reality and consequently our emotional state. For the next few days, practice a simple mental exercise. When you feel a wave of negative emotion, be it frustration, irritation, or worry, pause. Identify the external trigger, then ask yourself, what judgment am I making about this event? Is this event inherently bad, or am I choosing to interpret it as such? Try to separate the event from your judgment. Just observe the thought, without immediately believing or reacting to it. This act of dispassionate observation is the first step in reclaiming your inner peace. The journey towards true inner peace, the liberation from the incessant clamor of negative emotions, is much like tending a vibrant garden. You've cleared the initial weeds of ignorance, acknowledged the soil of your own mind, and understood the distinction between what you can cultivate and what lies beyond your reach. Now, we turn to two of the most essential nutrients for this sacred ground, the anchor of gratitude and the embracing power of acceptance. These are not mere fleeting feelings, but profound practices, deliberate acts of mind that can transform the very landscape of your soul. Imagine your inner self as a ship sailing through life's unpredictable waters. Without an anchor, you are adrift, tossed by every storm of emotion, every gust of disappointment, every tide of regret. Gratitude is that anchor, firmly rooting you in the present, securing you to the blessings that already exist, even amidst the tempest. It is a conscious redirection of your gaze, a deliberate shift from the shadows of lack to the abundant light of what is. In our modern world, we are conditioned to constantly crave, to perpetually seek the next upgrade, the next achievement, the next fleeting validation. This ceaseless striving often leaves us perpetually dissatisfied, feeding the hungry maw of envy when we compare our own journey to the curated highlight reels of others. We scroll through endless feeds, witnessing what appears to be effortless success, perfect relationships, and idyllic lives, and a subtle but corrosive bitterness begins to seep into our own contentment. This digital comparison trap is a profound enemy of inner peace. Gratitude acts as an antidote, a powerful shield against this encroaching malaise. It asks you to pause, to breathe, and to truly see the gifts that are uniquely yours. Stoic gratitude is not a naive optimism that ignores hardship. Rather, it is a profound appreciation for existence itself, for the opportunity to experience life in all its complexity. Seneca eloquently reminded us that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. This wisdom resonates deeply, urging us to look inward, to assess our true wealth not by what we accumulate, but by what we appreciate. Consider the simple, often overlooked aspects of your daily existence: the warmth of your morning coffee, the quiet hum of your home, the reliability of your physical body, the steady beat of your own heart. When a moment of frustration arises from a minor inconvenience, perhaps traffic or a slow internet connection, gratitude offers a powerful reframe. Instead of irritation, you might find a flicker of appreciation for the privilege of modern transportation or the marvel of instantaneous communication. It encourages you to practice a form of negative visualization, a Stoic technique where you deliberately contemplate the potential loss of something you cherish. Imagine losing your sight, your hearing, your mobility, or a beloved relationship. Suddenly, the simple act of seeing a vibrant sunset, hearing a bird's song, walking freely, or sharing a laugh with a friend becomes a profound miracle, igniting a deep wellspring of appreciation for what you currently possess. This isn't morbid. It's a powerful exercise in valuing the present. By actively seeking out and acknowledging these countless small blessings, you gradually starve the negative emotions of dissatisfaction, envy, and resentment. You build a robust inner ecosystem where the positive emotions of contentment and appreciation can flourish, creating a solid foundation for peace. Hand in hand with gratitude walks acceptance. If gratitude is the anchor that grounds you, acceptance is the sturdy keel that allows your ship to sail steadily, even through the most turbulent seas without capsizing. Life is inherently unpredictable, a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, success and setback. It is in our futile resistance to what is that much of our suffering originates. When plans unravel, when others disappoint us, when unforeseen obstacles block our path, our immediate reaction is often anger, frustration, or anxiety. We rage against the unfairness. We lament what should have been. We cling to a desired outcome that reality has denied. This is the opposite of acceptance. It is a declaration of war against the present moment, a battle you are destined to lose. Acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an active, intelligent recognition of reality. It's understanding that while you cannot always control the events of the world, you always retain absolute control over your perception of them, your judgment about them, and your response to them. Think of a time when you were caught in a torrential downpour without an umbrella. You could rage at the sky, curse your bad luck, and feel utterly miserable. Or you could accept the rain, find shelter if possible, and perhaps even find a strange beauty in the cleansing storm. This simple analogy scales up to far greater challenges. Consider a career setback, a sudden illness, or the painful behavior of a loved one. Your initial impulse might be to fight, to deny, to wish it away. But Stoic acceptance calls for a different approach. It asks you to observe the situation dispassionately, to acknowledge this is what is happening, and then to focus your energy entirely on what can be done or what must be endured with grace. Epictetus, the wise former slave, encapsulated this perfectly. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. This isn't about liking or approving of every event. It's about making peace with the reality of the moment, thereby freeing your mind from the exhausting and fruitless battle against fate. It allows you to move from a place of emotional reactivity to one of thoughtful, strategic response. When you accept the unchangeable, you reclaim the immense energy previously wasted on worry and resistance, directing it instead towards what you can influence. This practice dissolves the bitter knots of anger, the gnawing anxiety of the unknown, and the paralyzing grip of regret, replacing them with a quiet strength and a deep, enduring calm. Gratitude and acceptance are two sides of the same coin, two indispensable tools in your quest for emotional freedom. Gratitude illuminates the blessings you might otherwise overlook, enriching your present experience and shielding you from the corrosive effects of envy and perpetual dissatisfaction. Acceptance empowers you to navigate the inevitable hardships of life with equanimity, preventing anger, frustration, and anxiety from taking root. Together, they form an unbreakable bond that fortifies your inner world. They teach you to love what is given and to bravely face what occurs, transforming every experience into an opportunity for growth and profound peace. You are not a helpless leaf tossed by the winds of fortune. You are a deeply rooted tree, swaying with the currents, yes, but drawing strength from the earth beneath, appreciating the sun and accepting the rain, standing firm in your inherent dignity. For the next chapter of your journey, I invite you to make these two practices a daily ritual. Each morning, before the day's demands begin, take a moment to simply be present. Breathe deeply and articulate 3 specific things you are genuinely grateful for, delving into why they bring you value or comfort. Let these feelings truly sink into your being. Then, throughout your day, whenever you encounter a challenge, a frustration, or something that doesn't go your way, pause. Mentally or even quietly aloud, state, "This is what is. I accept this reality." This doesn't mean you stop working to improve things or find solutions, but it means you free yourself from the emotional burden of resisting what cannot be changed in that precise moment. Observe how these deliberate acts of anchoring yourself in appreciation and embracing reality as it unfolds begin to transform your reactions. Notice the subtle shift as the relentless grip of negative emotions loosens, replaced by a profound sense of inner stability and an unshakable peace. Imagine your inner peace as a magnificent vessel, meticulously crafted and designed to navigate the boundless ocean of existence. This ship, your very soul, is meant for voyages of purpose, for calm and reflective journeys across the vast, ever-changing waters of life. Yet, as any mariner knows, the sea is rarely a placid lake. It is a dynamic, often turbulent expanse, where unforeseen gales can whip up from nowhere and unpredictable currents can tug at your hull, threatening to pull you off course. The Stoics, with their profound understanding of human nature and the cosmos, recognized that many of these turbulent forces, the howling winds of misfortune, the relentless waves of others' opinions, the sudden, violent squalls of illness, loss, or betrayal, are entirely beyond the direct grasp of your control. To resist them with brute force, to rage against the storm itself, to futilely attempt to command the winds, to cease their blowing or the waves to flatten, is an act of utter self-sabotage. It is to exhaust your spiritual reserves needlessly, to fray the ropes of your resilience, to tear your sails, and ultimately to risk capsizing the precious cargo of your inner peace. True freedom from the tyrannical grip of negative emotions, therefore, lies not in the magical ability to dissipate every storm that approaches your horizon, but in a far more sophisticated understanding, the keen discernment of what parts of your ship are truly yours to command, and what parts fundamentally belong to the wild, untamed elements of the external world. This is the profound and liberating wisdom of adiaphora, the cornerstone Stoic concept often translated as indifference. Yet, this term frequently suffers from misinterpretation. It does not advocate for apathy, a cold, uncaring detachment from the world's vibrant tapestry or from the human condition. On the contrary, it represents a deliberate, reasoned, and deeply compassionate recognition that while some things are undeniably preferred, such as health, a comfortable livelihood, a good reputation, the affection of loved ones, and others are distinctly dispreferred, like sickness, financial hardship, public scorn, or the pain of loss, None of these external phenomena are inherently good or evil in themselves. Their intrinsic moral value, their power to genuinely disturb your core being or to bestow lasting delight, is not an inherent property of the things themselves. Instead, this power is conferred upon them solely by your judgment, by the internal narrative you construct around them, and by the emotional weight you choose to assign. Consider this wisdom as the process of setting an unyielding anchor, forged from the purest steel of self-awareness and philosophical insight, deep within the bedrock of your own character. The surface waves of daily events may still crash against your hull. The winds of external circumstances may still howl their warnings, but your inner core, your true self, remains steady, immovable, anchored in certainty. You are not cultivating indifference to human suffering. In fact, Stoicism demands active compassion and a commitment to justice. You are not indifferent to the pursuit of excellence or the practice of kindness. What you are cultivating indifference towards is the outcome of external events, insofar as those outcomes seek to dictate your internal state. You act with virtue, you strive for excellence in your endeavors, you extend compassion and justice to those around you, but you resolutely refuse to tether your fundamental serenity, your deepest well-being, to the unpredictable and often fleeting results that are not entirely within the sphere of your personal control. This anchor, once fully set, is forged from the singular understanding that your virtue, your intentions, your efforts, your character, your choices, these are the only true goods, the only possessions that can never be seized from you, never diminished by the capriciousness of fortune, never sullied by the malice of others. All else, every external circumstance, every material possession, every fleeting accolade or transient slight, is merely a preference, a circumstance, a temporary condition, a shimmering but ultimately insubstantial shadow cast upon the deck of your life. When you truly, deeply grasp this distinction, the crushing weight of 1,000 worries and anxieties begins to miraculously lift. This happens because you cease to grant permission for external conditions to arbitrarily dictate your internal weather patterns. You cease to be a slave to every passing cloud or sudden gust. Instead, you ascend to the dignified position of master of your own emotional climate, irrespective of the tempestuous storms raging outside. You become the serene captain of your soul. The essence of this powerful wisdom is not a call to apathy, but a call to love your fate, not blindly, but with a discerning eye that precisely differentiates between what is truly yours to own and what must simply be observed, acted upon virtuously, and then released. It's about performing the intricate and vital act of disentangling your core happiness and your foundational tranquility from the fragile, easily frayed threads of fortune, and instead weaving it into the robust, unbreakable fabric of your own character, your own choices, and your own unwavering adherence to virtue. This is the path to an inner freedom that is unassailable. Let us ground this profound philosophical concept in the relentless, often overwhelming reality of modern life. Consider the pervasive influence of the digital landscape, a ceaseless torrent of information, opinions, comparisons, and regrettably, often uninvited and sometimes venomous criticism. You might dedicate weeks, months, or even years to the meticulous crafting of a piece of work, be it a complex business strategy, a deeply personal artistic project, an academic thesis, or even a thoughtfully composed social media post aimed at connecting with others. When this creation is finally released into the public sphere, you inevitably encounter a wide and often jarring spectrum of reactions. Effusive praise, complete indifference, and, with disheartening frequency, harsh, unfounded, and even malicious criticism. If your inner peace, your sense of self-worth, and your emotional stability are inextricably tethered to the external validation or condemnation of others, then each negative comment, each dismissive glance, each harsh review transforms into a direct, painful assault on your most vulnerable emotional core. Your emotional vessel, instead of sailing steadily, is tossed violently and relentlessly by every digital wave, threatening to splinter your very being. You become a hostage to algorithms and anonymous voices, perpetually seeking approval and dreading disapproval, a true prisoner of externals. Now, let us consciously apply the transformative wisdom of indifference, not as apathy, but as strategic emotional detachment. You acknowledge the existence of these external reactions, the comments, the reviews, the praise, the criticism, as precisely what they are: external events. They are adiaphora, morally indifferent things. Your genuine effort, your noble intention behind the creation, your diligent pursuit of excellence in the execution of your work. These are the elements that were entirely within your control. These are the aspects that, when undertaken with integrity and virtue, are inherently good. The outcome, the public reception, the commercial success, the critical acclaim, or the lack thereof, these are largely, if not entirely, outside the sphere of your direct influence. The words others choose to type, the judgments they form, the emotional baggage they project onto your creation, these are their domain, their internal process, often reflecting far more about their own psychology and biases than about the objective quality or intention of your work. Instead of internalizing every piece of criticism as a damning personal failing, instead of allowing external negativity to penetrate and pollute your emotional core, you learn to observe it. You might, with a calm and detached objectivity, sift through the harsh words to discern if there is any hidden gem of constructive feedback that could aid your future growth. But crucially, you refuse to grant that negativity the power to define your self-worth or compromise your inner peace. You perform the vital act of disentangling your intrinsic value from the fickle, ever-shifting currents of public opinion. You have exerted your best effort. You have acted in alignment with your virtues. The external noise is precisely that, noise. It is like a powerful, disruptive gust of wind. You acknowledge its presence, you feel its force, but you refuse to allow it to blow your emotional ship off course or, more fundamentally, to dismantle its carefully constructed structure. This practice, often challenging but deeply rewarding, liberates you from the endless, exhausting, and ultimately futile chase for external approval, and simultaneously, it frees you from the crushing, soul-destroying weight of external disapproval. It empowers you to continue creating, living, contributing, and engaging with the world with an unwavering resilience, precisely because your inner compass is now calibrated not by the erratic fluctuations of external praise or blame, but by the steady, unchangeable North Star of your own internal virtues and principles. Extend this to even more mundane, yet equally potent stresses. Imagine being caught in an unexpected hours-long traffic jam when you have an important appointment. The frustration, the anger, the feeling of helplessness can be immense. Your mind races, catastrophizing about the missed meeting, the ruined plans. Here, the Stoic differentiation shines. The traffic itself, the sheer volume of cars, the accident up ahead, the speed limits, is entirely beyond your control. Your reaction, however, is not. You can choose to rage, to honk incessantly, to curse the fates, thereby multiplying your suffering and achieving nothing. Or you can acknowledge the uncontrollable external event, accept it, and then shift your focus to what is within your control. Your attitude, your decision to listen to an audiobook, to practice mindful breathing, to make necessary phone calls, if safe, or simply to sit in calm acceptance. The traffic remains, but your internal state transforms from one of agitation to one of peaceful acceptance, or at least calm management. This is the practical application of wise indifference, not ignoring the problem, but refusing to let the problem dictate your internal emotional landscape. It's about understanding that while you prefer to be on time, being late is an indifferent, and your internal response to it is the only thing that truly matters for your inner peace. No Stoic articulated this fundamental distinction with greater precision and unwavering conviction than Epictetus, the former slave who became one of Stoicism's most powerful voices. He reminds us with crystal clarity, a guiding beacon in the often confusing mists of daily life. Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions. This profound yet deceptively simple distinction is not merely an intellectual concept, it is the bedrock upon which genuine, unshakable inner peace is meticulously constructed. It is the infallible compass that guides your emotional ship through the most treacherous seas, ensuring that you expend your precious mental and emotional energy only on steering what is truly connected to your rudder, on shaping that which is genuinely malleable by your will. To willfully, or even unconsciously, spend your finite energy trying to control the uncontrollable, to command the winds to change, to demand that others think precisely as you do, to insist that the world conform perfectly to your desires, is the ultimate futility. It is a self-imposed prison, a gilded cage forged from frustration, anxiety, and ceaseless disappointment. By internalizing this singular truth, not merely understanding it intellectually, but feeling it deeply in your bones, you begin the miraculous process of releasing the countless crushing burdens you have unconsciously shouldered throughout your life. Burdens that were never truly yours to carry in the first place. You relinquish the Sisyphean task of pushing the colossal boulder of external circumstances uphill, only to watch it roll back down. Instead, you come to understand that true power, the only power that genuinely matters for your enduring happiness, lies not in commanding the external world to bend to your capricious will, but in mastering your reactions, your judgments, and your choices. This profound insight is not a call to resignation, nor is it an endorsement of passive surrender to fate. On the contrary, it is the purest form of liberation. It is the realization that the external world will always be in a state of ceaseless flux, a chaotic, unpredictable dance of probabilities and possibilities. Yet, in stark contrast, your inner world, the sacred sanctuary of your mind, your character, your values, can remain an unshakable fortress, an inviolable haven of peace, utterly untouched by the transient nature of fortune's whims or the storms of external events. This is the true power, the genuine freedom that Stoicism offers, the power to choose your internal response, to shape your character regardless of circumstance, and thereby to cultivate an inner tranquility that no external force can ever truly diminish. It is the foundational truth that allows you to remain upright and steadfast, even when the world around you seems to be crumbling, knowing that your most precious possessions, your virtue and your peace of mind, are always and forever within your control. To integrate this powerful Stoic principle into the very fabric of your daily existence for the next week, commit to a regular practice I call the circle of control reflection. This isn't a mere intellectual exercise, it's a deep introspective audit of your emotional responses. At the close of each day, or perhaps during a quiet morning moment of introspection, Take dedicated time to review one or two specific situations or interactions that caused you significant frustration, anxiety, anger, or even undue elation. Choose moments where your emotions felt particularly strong or where you felt your peace was genuinely disturbed. For each selected situation, engage in a methodical, honest self-inquiry. 1. Identify the trigger. What specific event, external circumstance or outcome directly triggered this negative or excessive positive emotion? Be as precise as possible. For instance, my boss delivered harsh criticism about my report during the team meeting, or the morning traffic unexpected made me 2 hours late for an important appointment, or someone posted a highly critical and disrespectful comment on my carefully crafted online content. 2. Assess controllability. Was this identified event or outcome entirely within my direct personal control? Be brutally honest with yourself. Did you control your boss's words, his mood, or his choice of delivery? Did you control the volume of traffic, the timing of an accident, or the decisions of other drivers? Did you control the other person's thoughts, their capacity for empathy, or their choice of words online? In most cases involving external events, the answer will be a resounding no. 3. Pinpoint your control. If the external event itself was beyond your control, then what specifically was within my control regarding this situation? This is where the true power lies. Was it your diligent effort in preparing the report, regardless of the criticism? Your choice to leave earlier for the appointment, or your decision to calmly navigate the delay once it occurred? Your thoughtful effort in creating the online content, and your subsequent decision to engage, disengage, or ignore the critical comment. Focus on your actions, your intentions, your judgments, and your character. These are your true domain. 4. Evaluate your reaction. How did you react to the uncontrollable external event? Was your immediate and subsequent reaction constructive, rational, and aligned with your higher self? Or did it compound the negativity, amplify the distress, and further erode your inner peace? Did you lash out, ruminate endlessly, play the victim, or blame external forces? 5. Uncover attached judgments. Most critically, what specific judgment or interpretation did you unconsciously or consciously attach to the external event that amplified your negative emotion? For example, my boss's criticism means I'm fundamentally incompetent and my career is over. Being late for this meeting means I'm a failure and unreliable. That disrespectful online comment proves that I'm not good enough and people hate my work. It is these judgments, these internal narratives we impose on neutral external events that are the true architects of our emotional suffering. The profound goal of this daily circle of control exercise is to systematically and diligently disentangle your internal emotional state from the capricious, often chaotic ebb and flow of external circumstances. By repeatedly and consciously identifying what falls definitively outside your circle of control, and then shifting your focus, your energy, and your emotional investment towards your controllable responses, your virtuous actions, and your chosen judgments, you begin to gradually yet powerfully weaken the very emotional chains that have historically bound you to external events. You will increasingly realize that the genuine source of your distress, anger, frustration, or anxiety is rarely the event itself, but rather your interpretation of it, your chosen reaction to it, and the judgments you attach to it. This consistent, deliberate practice cultivates a profound and unshakable sense of inner freedom. It gradually, patiently teaches your mind to anchor itself not in the shifting sands of external fortune, but in the solid bedrock of its own intrinsic power. The power over your thoughts, your values, and your responses. This allows the storms of the world to rage, to crash, to buffet, without ever truly disturbing the deep, quiet, and resilient calm that resides within your core being. Each time you consciously choose to focus on your internal response, you reinforce that unyielding anchor of your inner peace, making it stronger, more resilient, and ultimately utterly impervious to the whims and caprices of fortune. This is not a passive acceptance of defeat. It is an active, mindful, and incredibly powerful reorientation of your most precious resource, your emotional energy, directing it only towards the fertile ground of your own character and your own actions, where it can bear fruit. Over time, you will instinctively find yourself reacting less impulsively, less emotionally, and with ever greater wisdom and equanimity, realizing that the greatest power you possess, the true wellspring of your enduring peace, is the supreme power over your own mind, your own judgments, and your own chosen path towards unwavering tranquility. This is the art of mastering your inner landscape, no matter how wild, unpredictable, or challenging the external terrain becomes. This is how you reclaim your peace, one conscious choice at a time, the gentle art of letting go. You've journeyed through the labyrinth of your inner world, exploring the contours of perception, the power of choice, and the wisdom of acceptance. Now, as we delve deeper into freeing ourselves from the chains that bind, we arrive at a cornerstone of true liberation: the profound, often challenging, yet ultimately peaceful practice of letting go. This is not a passive surrender, but an active, gentle revolution within your own spirit. Imagine your consciousness as a magnificent vessel designed for exploration and serene passage across the vast, shimmering expanse of a boundless ocean. This vessel is your soul, your very being, equipped with sails for ambition, a rudder for intention, and a hull built for resilience. Yet sometimes, without realizing it, we cast anchors not into safe harbors, but into the rocky depths of our own past. These aren't anchors of security. They are anchors of resentment, regret, guilt, unfulfilled expectations, and unaddressed grievances. Each time we replay a past slight, each moment we dwell on a lost opportunity, each memory of a hurtful word or a crushing disappointment, another chain is forged, another anchor dropped. These anchors don't hold us steady, they hold us back. They snag on the seafloor of yesterday's troubles, creating drag, slowing our journey, and diverting us from our chosen course. The weight of these invisible chains can become immense, causing your beautiful vessel to list, to struggle against currents, even threatening to capsize under the cumulative burden. You long for inner peace, for the smooth glide across tranquil waters, but find yourself constantly battling an unseen force, a persistent resistance. This resistance is the past, unreleased and unmourned, clinging to the present moment. The gentle art of letting go is not an act of forgetting, nor is it an act of condoning. It is an act of profound self-compassion and strategic wisdom. It is the conscious decision to examine each chain, to understand what it connects to, and then, with deliberate intent, to cut it. It is about understanding that true freedom is not found in controlling external events or demanding recompense for past wrongs, but in liberating your internal state from their perpetual influence. It is recognizing that the future of your journey depends not on what happened behind you, but on the unencumbered trajectory you set before you. To release these anchors is to allow your vessel to lift, to catch the winds of the present, and to navigate towards the horizon of your choosing, lighter, swifter, and undeniably freer. It is to trust the current of life, understanding that some things are meant to flow past you, not to be clutched. The calm harbor of inner peace is not a destination to be reached by dragging old burdens, but a state cultivated by releasing them. Consider the tapestry of modern life, interwoven with countless threads of interaction and information. How often do we find ourselves ensnared by the digital echoes of yesterday? A harsh comment received on social media, a critical email from a boss, a passive-aggressive remark from a family member at a gathering. These instances can become mental loops, replaying incessantly in our minds. We dissect every word, imagine alternative responses, fuel hypothetical arguments, and allow these fleeting moments to fester into deep-seated resentment or lingering self-doubt. Think of the office environment. Perhaps a colleague took credit for your idea, or you were overlooked for a promotion you felt you deserved. The initial sting is natural, but if you allow that anger or sense of injustice to calcify, it transforms into a silent internal adversary. It poisons your relationships with others, diminishes your motivation, and clouds your judgment. Every interaction with that colleague becomes tinged with the past offense, every new project an opportunity for perceived slights. You become trapped in a self-made prison of indignation, unknowingly allowing the actions of others to dictate your present emotional state, or reflect on personal relationships. A friend might have betrayed your trust years ago, or a family member might have wounded you deeply with words spoken in anger. While the memory of the event serves as a valuable lesson, perhaps about boundaries or whom to trust, the emotion of resentment, if held onto, becomes a toxic burden. It prevents genuine connection, inhibits forgiveness, and keeps you tethered to a narrative of victimhood. It's like trying to navigate a new path while looking backward, constantly tripping over the very obstacles you refuse to release. Even in moments of crisis, the inability to let go can be paralyzing. When faced with an unexpected loss, a significant setback, or a radical change, our initial instinct is often to resist, to wish things were different, to cling to what was. This clinging, this refusal to accept the present reality, only amplifies suffering. The practicality of letting go in these contexts means acknowledging the hurt, learning from the experience, and then consciously choosing to disengage from the emotional grip it holds on your present and future. This isn't easy. It requires immense courage and consistent practice, but the rewards, a mind unburdened, a heart open to new possibilities, and an unshakable inner peace, are immeasurable. Seneca, in his profound wisdom, offers a direct insight into the self-inflicted nature of prolonged suffering. No one suffers evil as much as he who remembers it. This isn't merely a casual observation, it's a stark philosophical declaration rooted in the Stoic understanding of causality and control. Seneca compels us to confront a fundamental truth about our emotional landscape. While external events or the actions of others might initiate our pain, the duration and intensity of that pain often lie within our own hands. When we continually replay a past transgression, a moment of humiliation, or a profound disappointment, we are not merely recalling a memory. We are, in essence, re-experiencing the emotional sting, often amplifying it with each iteration. We are choosing to reopen the wound, to pick at the scab, preventing it from ever truly healing. The Stoics taught that true freedom comes from distinguishing between what is within our control and what is outside of it. The original event, the hurtful word, the unjust action, these were outside our control. But our reaction to them, our decision to dwell on them, to harbor resentment, to continuously replay the narrative of suffering, this is firmly within our control. By choosing to remember and re-suffer, we are granting power to the past, allowing it to encroach upon our present tranquility. We become voluntary prisoners of our own memories, chained by thoughts we could, with practice and intent, choose to release. Epictetus further reinforces this idea: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. While Seneca focuses on the lingering memory, Epictetus highlights the initial reaction and, by extension, the sustained reaction. The remembering Seneca speaks of is a form of sustained reaction, an ongoing internal dialogue that keeps the pain alive. To truly free ourselves from negative emotions, we must break this cycle of remembering to suffer, choosing instead to remember to learn, to grow, and then to let go of the emotional residue. It is a powerful reminder that our peace is not contingent on others' past actions, but on our present mental discipline. This week, embark on a deliberate practice of releasing, a journey into the gentle art of letting go. Begin by carving out a quiet, uninterrupted space each day, even if only for 5 to 10 minutes. During this time, consciously bring to mind one specific instance where you are holding on to a negative emotion. It could be resentment towards a past action, regret over a decision, or even guilt about something you did or didn't do. Don't judge it, simply allow it to surface. Acknowledge its presence. What does it feel like in your body? What thoughts accompany it? Now engage in a mental visualization. Imagine this emotion, this specific burden, as a tangible object. Perhaps it's a heavy stone in your hand, a dark cloud above your head, or a tightly wound knot in your stomach. Hold it in your mind's eye. Understand that you've been carrying it, that it has served its purpose by bringing a lesson or reflecting a hurt, but that its utility has now diminished. It is now only a weight. Then, with a gentle but firm intention, visualize yourself releasing it. If it's a stone, open your hand and let it drop into a deep, calm body of water, watching as it sinks and dissipates into nothingness. If it's a cloud, imagine a soft breeze carrying it away until it vanishes into the boundless sky. If it's a knot, see it slowly unraveling thread by thread until the tension is gone and only open space remains. Feel the physical and emotional lightness that accompanies this mental act. This isn't about denial, it's about active disengagement from the emotional pull. As you perform this visualization, repeat this mantra, first silently, then perhaps softly aloud. I acknowledge this feeling. I understand its presence, and now I choose to release it. I choose freedom. I choose peace. Repeat this several times, allowing the words to resonate deep within you. Understand that true strength lies not in clinging to pain out of a misguided sense of loyalty to the past, but in the courageous act of setting yourself free. Beyond this daily practice, try to apply this perspective in real time. The next time you find yourself ruminating on a past event or feeling a wave of resentment rise, pause. Ask yourself, am I choosing to suffer evil by remembering it? What benefit does holding on to this emotion truly serve in this present moment? Consciously redirect your thoughts. Turn your attention to something constructive, something in your immediate environment or a future aspiration. This is not about suppressing emotions, but about consciously choosing not to dwell in them indefinitely, preventing them from anchoring you to suffering. Through consistent practice, you will cultivate the profound skill of letting go, transforming your inner landscape into a space of greater serenity and profound inner peace. The journey to freedom is often paved not with new acquisitions, but with deliberate releases. The world often feels like a theater of events, a stage where circumstances unfold, seemingly dictating our inner state. Yet the sage understanding of Stoicism reveals a profound truth. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments and interpretations of them. This is the alchemy of perspective, the transformative power to turn leaden burdens into golden opportunities for growth and inner peace. Imagine gazing at a vast, turbulent ocean. To one, it represents chaos and danger. To another, boundless possibility and serene power. The ocean remains unchanged, but the observer's mind shapes its meaning. You hold this very same power within you. Consider a time when a project you poured your heart into failed to meet expectations, or perhaps a social interaction left you feeling misunderstood. The immediate surge of disappointment or frustration can feel overwhelming, a heavy weight pressing down on your spirit. Your mind might automatically label this as a bad event, a source of personal pain. This is the raw lead, unrefined. However, what if you paused just for a moment to shift your gaze? What if that perceived failure is not a dead end, but a redirection, revealing a hidden path better suited for your journey? What if the misunderstanding is an invitation to refine your communication, or to practice the art of letting go of others' opinions? The event itself holds no inherent malice. It is your interpretation that casts its shadow or illuminates its lesson. As Epictetus wisely observed, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This powerful insight invites you to become a master alchemist of your own mind, to recognize that the true source of your distress often lies not in the external world, but in the internal narrative you construct around it. You are not a passive recipient of fate. You are an active participant in shaping your inner landscape. For the next few days, whenever you face a situation that threatens to steal your peace, pause before you react. Ask yourself, is this truly a catastrophe, or is it merely my perception that assigns it such weight? Challenge your initial judgment. Can you reframe the situation? Can you find a hidden opportunity for resilience, for patience, for learning? Make it a conscious practice to seek out an alternative, more empowering perspective. Write down one recent negative experience and then, consciously, write down 3 different ways you could view it that cultivate calm or reveal a potential benefit. Notice the subtle but profound shift in your emotional state as you exercise this powerful faculty of your mind. By actively choosing your perspective, you reclaim dominion over your inner world, transforming moments of perceived hardship into stepping stones towards enduring tranquility. As we journey deeper into the landscape of our inner world, freeing ourselves from the thorny vines of negative emotions, we arrive at a crucial task, not merely to clear the weeds, but to cultivate the garden. For a void, once created, longs to be filled. And what better to fill it with than the vibrant blossoms of gratitude and active appreciation? This is the deliberate act of tending your soul, transforming it from a battleground into a sanctuary. Many believe gratitude is a passive feeling, something that washes over you when good fortune strikes. But Stoicism teaches us that gratitude is a powerful, active choice, a discipline that reshapes your perception. It is the conscious decision to acknowledge the gifts already present, however small, however fleeting, rather than perpetually lamenting what is absent or what might go wrong. When you focus on what you possess, what works, what brings a flicker of light into your day, you starve the dark shadows of discontent and anxiety. You are actively building your inner peace, brick by brick, moment by moment. Consider the modern deluge of comparison and endless aspiration. We scroll through curated lives on digital feeds, constantly bombarded with images of success, beauty, and happiness that often feel unattainable. This environment, if left unchecked, can sow seeds of envy, inadequacy, and a gnawing sense that we are perpetually behind. Here, gratitude becomes your shield. It's the moment you consciously put down your phone and look at the actual warmth of the sun on your face, the quiet hum of your own home, the taste of a simple, nourishing meal, or the genuine laugh of a loved one beside you. It's realizing that peace isn't found in the relentless pursuit of more, but in the profound appreciation of what already is. This mindful pause, this deliberate shift in focus, is an act of rebellion against the external pressures that seek to steal your contentment. The wise Epictetus reminds us, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. This isn't a call to complacency, but an invitation to ground yourself in the abundance that often goes unnoticed amidst our striving. It is about understanding that true richness comes not from accumulation, but from appreciation. By valuing what you have, you fortify your spirit against the winds of desire and dissatisfaction that so often fuel negative emotions. You build an internal fortress of peace, not through absence of struggle, but through the presence of gratitude. To cultivate this invaluable practice, I invite you to undertake a daily gratitude inventory. At the close of each day, before you drift into sleep, take a moment to reflect on 3 specific things that brought you comfort, joy, or worked out well. Don't generalize, be precise. Instead of, "I'm grateful for my health," perhaps it's, "I'm grateful my knees didn't ache on my morning walk," or "I'm grateful for the refreshing glass of water I had after a long day." Instead of, "I'm grateful for my family," perhaps it's, "I'm grateful for the silly joke my child told me at dinner," or "I'm grateful my partner listened patiently to my concerns." This focused practice trains your mind to seek out and register the good, making it a habit, not just a fleeting sentiment. In doing so, you are actively nourishing your inner peace, ensuring that your garden thrives with beauty and resilience. And so we arrive at the quiet harbor of our journey. Having navigated the turbulent seas of negative emotions, you have faced the storms, understood their nature, and learned to steer your vessel with a steady hand. The path to freedom from emotional turmoil is not a grand, singular leap, but a series of conscious choices, a daily tending to the garden of your mind. We began by observing the shadows, not to fear them, but to understand their source, to recognize that their power lies not in their existence, but in our reaction to them. Remember, true freedom is not the absence of challenges, but the mastery of your response to them. It is the profound realization that while the world outside may rage, a sanctuary of calm can always be found within you. This sanctuary, your inner peace, is not granted by external circumstances. It is cultivated by internal discipline. It is built brick by brick. Through each moment you choose wisdom over impulse, acceptance over resistance, and presence over regret or anxiety. You have walked through the lessons of impermanence, witnessing how all things, good and bad, flow like a river, ever-changing. You have embraced the power of distinguishing between what is within your control and what is not, shedding the burden of what you cannot change. You have practiced gratitude, turning your gaze towards the abundant light, even in dim times, and cultivated empathy, recognizing the shared humanity in every encounter. Each step has been a deliberate act of self-liberation, chipping away at the chains of expectation, fear, and desire. Consider your mind now as a vast, open sky. Before, perhaps, it was cluttered with storm clouds, heavy with anxiety and resentment. But through these reflections, you have learned to watch the clouds pass. You have understood that you are not the clouds, you are the sky itself, limitless, unchanging, and capable of holding all weather without being consumed by it. This is the profound peace that arises when you detach from the transient nature of emotions and anchor yourself in the stable ground of your rational faculty. The journey continues, of course, for life is a continuous school. New challenges will arise and old patterns may attempt to resurface, but now you possess the tools, the wisdom, and the inner strength to meet them not as a victim, but as a sage. You have learned that every obstacle is an opportunity to practice your philosophy, to strengthen your inner citadel, and to deepen your understanding of self. Do not seek to avoid pain or discomfort entirely, for they are inevitable parts of the human experience. Instead, seek to transform your relationship with them, to see them as messengers rather than tormentors. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. This timeless truth echoes through the ages, offering you the ultimate key to freedom. Your peace is not a fragile bloom to be protected from the wind. It is a deep-rooted tree, capable of bending without breaking, thriving through every season. So, as we conclude this shared meditation, let this be your guiding star. Your inner peace is your most precious possession, and it is entirely within your keeping. No external force, no fleeting emotion, no judgmental gaze can diminish it unless you grant them permission. Stand guard at the gates of your mind, choosing carefully what you allow to enter and what you choose to let pass. Carry this understanding with you into the world. Let it inform your actions, quiet your anxieties, and empower your spirit. Let the tranquility you have cultivated become the very ground upon which you walk, radiating outward to touch those around you. This is not just a philosophy. It is a way of life, a daily practice of becoming more fully yourself, more aligned with nature, and more deeply at peace. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the quiet strength that resides within you. This strength is your birthright, your enduring essence. It is the unwavering calm beneath the surface of all things. Remember, control what you can, accept what you cannot, choose wisely. Inner peace is always within reach.